Hey guys, welcome back to Module 2. This video is all about the concept of traffic temperature. And this is something that we created here at Digital Marketer to try to explain where a person that you're targeting through paid ads, where they fall on the value journey, right? So really starting to merge the two. You can see this really simple graphic that explains traffic temperature. There are 3 levels. So you have cold here on the outside. Those are people who have never heard of your brand before, right? Cold traffic is what I call these people. In the middle, you have warm traffic. So these are people who have engaged with your brand, but they've never really purchased. There's some sort of barrier to them taking the next step, right? But they've subscribed to your email list. They followed you on Facebook. They're warm, but they're not quite there yet. And the center, hot, these are your buyers. These are people who have purchased from you in the past. And I'm going to use this language throughout this course to speak about the traffic temperature of certain audiences. Is someone cold? Are we targeting a warm audience? Or are we trying to get people who have purchased in the past to buy again or to buy something else? Now, it's really important when you think about your traffic campaigns that they have a specific goal. So as we talked about in Module 1, the goal of your campaign shouldn't be generate leads, make money, everything. You can't expect one campaign to pull that many levers. So whenever I'm thinking about a new traffic campaign, I first decide what is the goal, right? And here are a few possible goals. So maybe the goal is to introduce you to people who have never heard of your brand before, right? Awareness. This is cold traffic. Maybe your goal is to convert prospects into customers, right? Acquiring new customers into your business. Maybe your goal is to upsell or to cross-sell a recent buyer to get them to take another action. When I'm selecting a goal for a paid traffic campaign, it's usually one of these 3. Right? And these line up nicely with traffic temperature, right? Cold, warm, hot. So making sure that you understand that when you're reaching different temperatures of audiences, that the results and the goals for those campaigns are going to differ because those people are at a different stage on the customer journey. So if we're to overlay traffic temperature on top of value journey, these first 3 steps are really your cold audiences, right? These next 2 are your warm audiences. And then these last 3 here are your hot audiences. So just for those of you that are visual, this is how traffic temperature overlays with the value journey. So let's talk a little bit more about cold traffic, right? So cold traffic, this is the new blood coming into your business, right? Cold traffic is the most important audience to master because you need to bring those new leads, those new customers, that awareness into the business, right? So people who have never heard of you before. If you're a brand new business, you got to start here. It's also important to keep in mind that if you do have an existing business, it's okay to start with traffic campaigns that maybe reach more of your hot or warm audiences because they'll get, immediate results. But if you never scale out to cold traffic, the business is not acquiring new awareness or new leads, right? So even if you're in an existing business, make sure that your mind is thinking about cold traffic. So let's talk about some goals for cold traffic. Maybe a campaign is there to indoctrinate or to introduce your brand, right? Very similar to the video ad that you saw in Module 1 for the awareness stage of the customer value journey. The goal of that video was to create awareness for Digital Marketer and to start to build that relationship, right? Introduce, indoctrinate, right? Let's start to establish some credibility. Another goal, pixeling, right? So based off of people's actions on your website or your Facebook post or based off of people's actions on your website or your Facebook post or by watching a Facebook video, you are pixeling people. You're cooking them so that you can then retarget them with ads. This is super beneficial for cold traffic because people will segment themselves, right? So imagine they're reading your blog, it's about fitness, but they're reading the post about arms, right? You know that they're not just interested in fitness, they're really interested in building their arms back up, right? Getting their arms strong. So this is a huge benefit of cold traffic. You're learning something about that individual so that you can be more specific and moving them down the customer journey based off of what benefits or pain points you know that they're aligning with. Another goal could be pixeling, which means showing an ad or having someone watch a Facebook video or engage with one of your Facebook posts or visit your website so that you do have permission to follow up with retargeting ads in the future. Really simple. And along those same lines, segmentation can be a goal. And segmentation is important because the more you can learn about a new website visitor or, a new person who just clicked on your ad, the more specific you can be in the marketing to move them down the customer journey. So think about how you're using segmentation with your cold traffic campaigns to learn more about these prospects. A great example is, say you're a fitness company, right? But you have Facebook video ads about arm exercises and you've got leg exercises. And what you're doing by putting out those different types of content is you're pixeling those people, but you're also learning more about them, right? You know that they're not just interested in fitness, you know that they're interested in working their arms. So you can show them a more specific lead magnet or maybe a more specific program or product that they could purchase that really relates to the pain or the benefit that that person is seeking in that moment. So these are possible goals of your cold traffic campaigns, right? Introduce your brand, build credibility, right? Pixel people so that you can follow up with them, which we'll talk more about in the Facebook Pixel video of Module 4, or segmentation, right? Basically collecting more information so you know how to specifically follow up with these prospects. All right, let's talk about warm traffic. So again, we're living right here. So warm traffic, these are your acquaintances. These are people that you've met, but you haven't really become friends with yet, right? So for example, these could be people who opted in for your email list, right? People who have visited your website, Facebook fans, YouTube subscribers, etc. Basically, if you have a way to follow up with them, remember pixeling from the last slide, if you have a way to follow up with them, but they haven't yet purchased yet, these are your warm traffic folks, right? These are people that need a little bit extra. And, they could watch a video on Facebook. They can engage with a post on Facebook or Instagram, which we'll talk more about in the Facebook module. Facebook's released so many products to make sure that we're able to retarget people based off of very specific actions that they've taken on the platform. Okay, so what are some goals of warm traffic campaigns? So the first is pretty simple, convert prospects into buyers. We've talked about that. But the second one is just as important, right? Re-engaging and continuing to build the relationship with someone who's shown interest but hasn't really taken the next step. Think about dating. Some people get married after a few months. Some people are together 20 years and they never get married, right? Humans are all different. And what I mean by that is my friend and I could both be interested in golf. And we could both see the same ad from a golf company. And because he is more trusting than I am inherently, he might see that ad, engage with the brand, and then immediately buy something from them because that's just how he rolls, right? That's his consumer behavior. I could have the same interest, but be a little less trusting, right? That's just maybe who I am as a human. So I might need a few weeks before I make a decision to buy. There are lots of factors factors that go into that. But I know that if you create paid traffic campaigns that are there to continue to re-engage your warm audiences, you're going to help convert those stragglers, right, that might need some extra convincing into actually purchasing your product or service, right? So we've got convert prospects into buyers, another goal, re-engage and continue to build the relationship, right? Really the two goals for warm traffic campaigns. And then our hot audience, right? And again, we're living up here at the end of the customer journey. This is pretty simple. This is your buyers list, right? If you have people that have already purchased your product or service, that is your hot audience. And I will tell you, this is the most underutilized audience when it comes to traffic temperature. When most people are thinking about paid traffic, like I said earlier, they're going out to those cold audiences, which is great. But don't forget that you can still use Facebook and Google and YouTube to retarget your hot traffic to get them to buy again or to get them to buy something else, right? You don't have to rely on email, right? And messenger subscribers. Paid traffic can be used at the end of the customer journey. So the goal of your hot traffic campaigns is pretty simple. Someone's already purchased from you. What can we cross-sell? What can we upsell? Are there other products or services that you can offer this person? That's going to depend on your business model and your product line. But as I said, this is such an underutilized audience here. You just have to remember that your hot traffic audience only scales as much as your warm audience, only scales as much as your cold audience. Your cold audiences, those turn into warm audiences, right? And your warm audiences turn into hot audiences. So we want to make sure that we have a paid traffic campaign at this step of the journey, but we also want to acknowledge that the other campaigns, just like the assembly line that we talked about, are the ones that are passing prospects and customers down to our hot audience, right? That is how that scales. So keep this in mind as we continue, guys. Traffic temperature, really simple concept, but it gives us a language to understand where the audiences that we're targeting on these paid traffic platforms, where they fall in the value journey, right? And what the goals of those campaigns should be. Because as I said in the last module, a huge mistake that I see people making is that they want to achieve all of the goals that I just covered with one campaign. And that's really, really hard to do. So make sure when you're creating traffic campaigns for these specific temperatures that you go back to these goals and that you're going to have correct expectations for how those campaigns are going to perform. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.